Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. Hope you're all doing well today. Just gonna wait for this to come up and. Hello, Mgtows. Hope you're all doing well today. I don't know if that's quite right on sound, but yeah, that's because I got the sound all the way down. Okay. Okay. I don't know if that's quite right on sound. There it is. There it is. Everything's right. I wanted to talk about something in Mgtow. I'll make it short today. I know it's late. There's no one around. I'll let this video just sit overnight, I suppose, and if you find it, you find it. If you don't, you don't. That's no big deal. But lately in Mgtow, I heard a few of the older Mgtows going at the younger ones, or the ones that they're not younger in age or anything. It's younger in time in Mgtow. We all get to Mgtow at a certain point in our life. When we come into Mgtow, we all have an event that leads us here. That event's important to you, but we don't all share these same events. Different things happen to different people and different lifestyles and different, different. A whole lot of different things happen. Why you got here, why I got here. It's never going to match, and it's never going to be the same for any one of us. And the time period it takes for you to get over that, whatever happened to you, is specific to your event. I know it took me years and years of physical therapy after what had happened to me. Years and years of hospitalization, years and years of mental stress. And it's painful for each one of us, whatever it is. It could be a small, minor event that brings the red pill in all of its nature to you. It could be a huge event, and that's different for all of us. And there's a million different things in between. But one of the things I noticed is a lot of the elder Mgtows are the guys that have been around a long time. They forget about what brought you there. They forget about how hard it was to come into Mgtow and understand. We all start at a certain place, and we're all angry. We're all mad. It's the red pill rage, we call it, and that should dissipate after a while. But hey, Mgtow's a linear thing. It's a temporal thing. You're going to have to go through temporal change, and that's going to take time. I don't expect a guy that's been around a year, to get by whatever he's going through. I expect that time and the goodwill of other men and talking through it will help, and that's what we're here. It's sort of a cognitive therapy. Mgtow is cognitive therapy for most men. We come around, we talk our ways through this. We try to figure out what had actually happened to us, and we try to put our lives together. Some of our lives are all torn apart. Man, my life was torn apart. There was no putting it together right away. There was no manning up, and that's what I want to talk to about. The old guys, sometimes they forget how painful it was. They forget, like even I do sometimes. I forget my past. I forget where I was, standing there on the street with nothing, no home, no family anymore, no place to live, no money. She had taken everything. She had taken my health. She had taken everything, and that's a hard place to begin. And I know a lot of guys come from that too. I know a lot of guys don't have to go through that because they've learned from stories like I tell. They've learned from the horror stories, the cautionary tales. Cautionary tales are rough, and it's hard for me to talk about things sometimes, but we have to talk about them. We have to tell our stories because they help, and they help men that wouldn't necessarily see what could happen and where they could be going. And smarter men learn from that. half of the world, most of the world's men, probably 80% of them will never even think about becoming a Mgtow, will never have to go through those problems. And if they do go through those problems, they're going to hear one word after they did. It's going to be the man up word. It's the word I hate worst in this whole world, man up. It's the idea that I hate worse in this whole world. That's what started Mgtow at the beginning. At the beginning, 20 years ago, we were all MRAs. I was an MRA. Going to fight the whole system. I was going to take on the system. But I started noticing one thing. There was nowhere to share my pain. There was no one to talk to my pain. I felt like an outsider in the program that I was in. And then Health and Human Services and the government, they'll offer man up programs to men. You can go to these classes to teach you how to man up harder. And I thought that was the most insulting thing that I've ever heard in my life. I was supposed to man up for this thing that literally tried to kill me, this thing that took everything, this thing that has every advantage, this thing that had a gun in the room, this thing that had no empathy or sympathy for me, this thing that took everything I'd ever built in this world. They told me to man up. I remember that, and I still remember that. So when you guys come around here, when someone tells you to man up, it's the most insulting thing you're going to hear. And that's what started Mgtow. We wanted this place where men could go talk, where we didn't have to hear man up, pay your child support, just be a man about it, man, and get over it. And that's what they were saying. Get over it. Some things you don't get over. Some things you can tuck, and them things will eat your soul away. They'll eat you away, and you're going to become one of those blue pill guys out there. And Mgtow, we go through stages of Mgtow. We go through linear processes. Linear processes in Mgtow take time. And some of the old guys, they forget. Some of the guys that have been around, they forget. They're saying, just man up and get on with it. And Mgtow's a thing that you're going to leave. Mgtow can be a thing you can stay in the rest of your life, because it's a good place with men that understand where it's not about getting over it in here. It's about just being around like-minded men like yourself. And what there's stages to go through. There's things that happen, like I call them events. After you get done with your event, what do you do with your event? You have some deep loss in that. There's whether it was necessary for that event to happen, or whether it was random, or whether it was through cruelty, or whether it came upon, you got to step back and think about what you have, what you don't have. In essence, you got to count your blessings. You got to start counting your losses too. Where am I at in this world? What am I doing in this world now? I got nothing, or I got very little. I got very little resources, and it always says. So you're counting your losses. You're licking your wounds, and then maybe during that time you start looking around, and this is where the temple process begins. This linear process in Mgtow. Nobody skips from A to B in Mgtow, where you come in and you are just a Mgtow. You have to learn, and that learning takes time. You count your blessings, you look around, and you look for your resources at a certain point, and you try to work through these things, and you got to. And you found Mgtow, and if you did find Mgtow, you're in a pretty good place, because you got a lot of support around with men with some good advice, and they're passionate, at least, about what they're doing, and they're sympathetic. Most of us are sympathetic, but a lot of the times after age goes, we lose that sympathy. We forgot where we came from. We've forgotten what happened to us. I never try to forget what's happened to me. I never try to forget how that was. So when the new man comes in, he'll have somebody that's empathetic to his cause. So we're working through that. And he is brand new. He needs to rage out. One of the first lessons that you learn in Mgtow is you have to repurpose your pain. You can't hold that in. That's what they're telling you to do. You're holding that in. You're manning up. You're just going to hold that, and that's going to turn into a big black hole in your chest, and it's going to kill you if you hold that in. And then you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna keep it, and it's gonna hurt you. And it's a so we repurpose our pain. It's like instead of sitting there with it in our one room apartments, we get on here, we get in a world, and we shoot those metaphysical arrows back. Them we let it go out into the world. We do something about it. We do an action. Mgtow is an action. We go our own way. We say we're sick of your world. We're sick of your ideas because those traditional conservative ideas are harmful to us. And those traditional conservative ideas got us where we are, and they lied to us. So we're mad about that. Most of us are pretty mad about that, but it's going to take a while to go through that, repurposing your pain. Let that out on the world. Don't hold it in. Let that out on the people that actually did this to you, and that's your governments. That's them. That's them religious figures. Them are the man up groups that told you just to tuck it and man up, and that's painful in itself. Tuck it and man up is so painful. That's what Mgtow was born of. Some MRA telling the other MRAs tuck it and man up, and they went, "What? Are you effing crazy? I want to fight this thing, and I want to fight this thing in a real way." So we came up with Mgtow back in the days. I remember Paco first opened the first Mgtow. He says, "This is a place where we can talk, where we're safe. We're not getting called names. We're not saying pay your child support. We're not getting shamed back into it." That's all that really is. That man up, move on, and just do what I want, the government, just do what society wants, and don't forget about yourself. Be selfless is what they're telling. That is painful. That's super painful. So you come in here and you find some like-minded men that that are like you, but we forget too. A lot of these guys been around a long time. We've heard, a lot of the older Mgtows, they're just not in touch with the Mgtow, and they're saying, well, we're going to transition out of Mgtow. Well, that shows the gratitude right there. There's a thing called gratitude in Mgtow. I stay around even though I no longer need them things that Mgtow offer me. I could use the friendship and the fellowship, and I no longer need these things, but I want to freely give back what was given to me. And that was pretty much a program where I can talk to other men like myself while rebuilding myself, and that's the next step you're going to have to do. You're going to have to build yourself back up, and everybody wants you to go from that. Everybody wants you to go from that first step to that third step or that fourth step. Step 4, building yourself back up like that. That's the man up thing. Skipping 3 other processes, identifying your losses, identifying your assets. That's what we do. We identify our losses. We identify people that are like us, our assets. We repurpose our pain, and it gives us this laser focus where we're laser focused on what we're doing in the world. Then and only then you start building yourself back up. But you're building yourself back up with a purpose, a Mgtow purpose. There's nothing like having a purpose in this world. I heard a saying today. I can't remember it. It goes sort of like, I'll paraphrase the saying is, if you don't have a purpose in life, you got nothing. You got nothing if you ain't got something to work for. So you're building yourself back up, and you got this purpose, and you got your Mgtow things are starting to click a little bit. Everything seems a little bit. All that haze goes away. All that pain or whatever brought you here goes away, and I don't care how small it was or how you work through it, and the time period it takes you to work. That's different for every man. Some men come in here, and I never trust the guys that say, "Oh, I was born a Mgtow." No one was born a Mgtow. I was in a class to be a Mgtow. I think that's a little narcissism, and I think that's a little craziness there. But Mgtows get here for a reason, because life wasn't working the way they had. An existential crisis. You had some kind of crisis. You had an event. Let's just call it an event. And that's it. Building yourself back up is going to take a long time, and it's going to take a lot of support from a lot of guys that you never even imagined were out there. And it's nice to know that there's a lot of men out there that aren't judgmental. And you can go over to the MRA and they'll just blah blah blah. Man up, dude. Pay your child support. Get a lawyer. And that's the most insulting thing in the whole world. Uh, they don't have a philosophy. They hinge on a government philosophy that the government wants you to do about that masculinity. That's their slavery is their idea of a masculinity process. Just be a good slave. It's always go to work. That's slavery. Suffer for others. That's slavery. Give your money to society. Ask not what your government can do for you. Ask what you can do for your government. Slavery. It's always about you giving. At a certain point in your life, you're done giving. You gave enough because all they're doing is taking. And that's what Mgtow's about. Recognizing the fact that all they are doing is taking. That's why they want you to man up faster. A lot of our government programs rely on that. Women rely on that. The children rely on the women to take care of them. That relies on that. Instead of taking agency for themselves, going to work and building careers for themselves, they're going to rely on putting a male in slavery, and that's hurtful. And that's what we don't want. We're trying to explain this process to government officials that want good slaves. They want you to, our jobs, go to work, slavery. Don't think about it. Endure the pain, endure the suffering. Like, what is his name? Jordan Peterson. Suffering. You got to suffer for everything. You got to suffer for your partner. You got to suffer. You've done that a long time already. If you're here at Mgtow, you've suffered enough. You've suffered enough. Men have suffered enough. We've built a society that's working and functioning. Don't we get to enjoy it? No, we have to suffer more. We have to suffer more. And it's always suffer more because there's people that rely on that. Them lighter than air jobs in the government, them 20 million people in America alone that don't have nothing to do except for push paperwork and tell you what to do. Yeah, they want to keep them things. And they want you to pay for them. And how do they get you to pay for them? Well, man up. That's why Mgtow is so dangerous to them, because we're no longer manning up. We're just taking care of ourselves and we're manning out. And that's what I'll tell every Mgtow. Man out. Along the way, you're going to have to weed your yard. You're going to have to do some maintenance on yourself. You start doing a lot of maintenance. You start reading. You start doing your favorite activities. You start learning. A lot of guys go back to school, learn a new trade, learn a new philosophy. Learn. Just do something. Get out and do something. And that's where most people and most Mgtows are at what they do. Take an activity, whether you walk or you play football, you go to the gym, or you ride a bike like me. It's your choice, and that's as unique and individual as you. And that's as unique and individual as your story coming in here. Your story is important to us. Your story is important to each and every Mgtow. And each and every Mgtow is important, but we're not all going to come in the same spot. And when you got some of the older Mgtows going, hey, man, just man up, that's what started Mgtow. That's what we didn't like at the beginning. That's why we needed to get away from them guys, because they're just echoing gynocentric garbage is what they're doing. They're saying, oh, well, you'll have to live within this gynocentric system. No, Mgtow is purposeful. Mgtow is driven. Mgtow has a scheme. Mgtow has a purpose. And that purpose is generally to end that system that ends the second sexism. The second sexism is the sexism towards men and boys. And it's real, but they're going to tell you, no, that's not real. They're going to tell you, you just need to man up because you can, because you got these big, strong arms, because you don't have feelings, you have rationality. It's easy to get a man to man up. And that's what he'll do the rest of his life, wasting his life, not thinking about himself. And at the end, he'll scream out to the gods that he thinks are out there, yelling at them, what was I? Why did I have to suffer the whole time? And that's unfairness, and that's inequality, and that's what Mgtow's about. It's about changing these things. There's a lot of roads that lead back to Mgtow. And it ain't going to change if Mgtow changes into the old MRA that just tells you to man up, to be a man, grow through it. And that means don't take the time to heal yourself. Just jump right into that thing out there, that thing, that machine that makes you into a slave. The better you do that, the faster you do that, they'll tell you the better off you'll be. No, you'll just get more of the same. You'll become the father, the payor, the payee, the payer, the payer terminal. You become the payer terminal. What is a payer terminal? You become the ATM for the world. And that's the insulting part. It doesn't matter how much money you got. You can buy your way out of that. Obviously, millionaires do it all the time. Jeff Bezos just got a divorce that cost him $36 billion. He just paid his way out of that. He doesn't have the same ordinary pains as you. He will never learn that lesson that you had to learn, because those lessons come with a little bit of ouch. They don't understand. That standpoint etymology, for people that don't understand that, they don't understand. If you can pay money to remove those problems, you never learn the lesson from those problems. And that's the sad part. And here we see a lot of men exiting. I got mine, I'm going. They never stay around to talk to the younger men. They got mine. Thanks, Mgtow. They usually do a big FU on the way out and go Mgtow on Mgtow. I call it going Mgtow on Mgtow. Yeah. And that's the way most people are in this world. And there's a lot of people that just came around, learned the lesson, worked through it, observed, said, yeah, that stuff sounds pretty good. Next time I'm not going to fall for the traps because I've heard it from Mgtow. Next time I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it quite that way. I'm going to be careful. I'm going to observe risk. And those are the guys, they leave. They say, thanks. Thanks, Mgtow. Thanks for all you've done for me. They'll pop back up once in a while around here, or they'll continue to do Mgtow videos, because most of us should be grateful. We should all be grateful for what was given freely to us. And Mgtow don't cost a dime. But in the beginning, it is a linear process. It's going to take some time. And having someone tell you to man up and just get over it, that's the biggest insult in the world, because that's not possible. That's not possible. And guess what? That's what Mgtow was born of. Someone telling you that don't work on yourself. Just get over it. Tuck all that. No matter how much it harms you, just tuck it and do what we want from you. And they always want something from you. They want everything you own. They think it's all theirs. They just have to figure out how to get it. There's a lot of lessons that you can learn in here that'll make practical good sense after a while. And you can live a good, hearty, decent life. Do your own thing. Man, it was a little warm today for the first time in a couple weeks. I took a few bike rides, happy, waved at people. That's Joe. I'm not saying that's everybody. That's me. I enjoy that. I would rather do that than anything in the whole world. Just ride around because, gosh, if you're riding a pedal bike out there in the world, there ain't nothing funner than that. You know it, and I know it. And I got to smile like a kid with Down syndrome when I'm out there. Yeah, I look like I look like a tard when I'm out there. I don't care because I'm happy and I'm having fun. But that's me. Whatever you do, you got to find that out, and that's a linear process of growth. And no matter how long it takes, I'll be here for you till the day I die, probably, because I was grateful for what the process did for me. And that's all I wanted to take. I wanted to apologize for some of the older Mgtows. I wanted to apologize because they forgot. They forgot. And that's the saddest part. And that's the part that makes me sad. They Mgtow out on Mgtow. They've forgotten. They've forgotten the gift that was given to them. That's all I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about when you get to that point, after you get over what you get over, after you work through it and you see the logic. Every step of logic in Mgtow leads to success and happiness. Every step makes perfect sense once you start getting it and you understand that it makes perfect sense. And you need someone to explain it sometimes to you. Why do we do this? Why do we say things this way? But after you get to that point where you're asking what's next, you know what's next? What's next is just being you, sticking around for the guys that need you, like you needed other men. And not saying man up, saying, hey, what can I do to assist? What do you need? I understand how painful it was. I understand when you woke up that morning and the world looked horrible and there was nihilism and there was an existential crisis and you said that shit don't make no sense. I understand that pain. Because that shit just still makes no sense out there. It still makes no sense, but there's going to be a lot of guys that come in and they're going to need you to be there, and they're going to need you to be sympathetic. And that's what we pride ourselves on. This is a cognitive therapy program for men. They can stay around the rest of their life if they want. No one's telling them they can't come around here. No one's telling them to move on. No one's telling them to get over it. No one's telling them to man up. We're just saying this is a safe spot. But we've been invaded by pretty ignorant people sometimes that just man up and get over it and move on. It's not about that. You know what it's about? It's about them people never saying that to you again. Never considering you human. They just consider you a natural resource, a meat machine, a robot to do what they want. And that's the insulting part. Never giving yourself time to heal. Never giving yourself time to think about things right. They just want you to man up, move on, and get with it and start doing what they want. Fuck those man up groups. Most of them are sponsored by Health and Human Services, which they get grants written for them. Fathers and families are that way. They get grants written for them. There's a dozen different kinds. There's a dozen different types. Usually they'll give you a card after you get a divorce and say, go see these guys. They can help you. Those guys will never help you, and they're making money from the government to tell you awful things. They just want to get you back on that. They just want to get you back on that horse again, so you can become the meat machine. You're a meat machine for the bigger machine, and that's insulting. You need some time, and in Mgtow, you have all the time in the world. You can have the rest of your life. That's what I say. And ain't no one telling you to man up. And that's what Mgtow's about. The insensitivity of the rest of the world, the casual cruelty of the rest of the world, the absurdity of the rest of the world. They can go to hell. And that's all I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to keep it right about 30 minutes. And so the longer you are around here, always remember why you came around. Never forget what brought you here. Never forget what it was like. And always have a sympathetic ear. I try to. I try. I'm not a perfect person, but I'll try. And I'll never, ever forget that because I have gratitude. That's how you show your gratitude. Give back freely what was given to you freely. And that's all I wanted to talk about, men. That's all I wanted to talk about, Mgtows. Thanks a lot for each and every one of you to come around. And thanks a lot for being Mgtow. Mgtows.